Well, Razorback fans, man, it felt really good to finally win one. And to beat a top 5 team on top of it, it's hard to get better than that right now. So let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Neighbors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Hope everybody's having a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Monday and had a wonderful weekend. And if you're a Razorback fan, folks, I don't know when the last time there's been a weekend where you have felt that way. You beat Tennessee. And those of you who listened to the podcast last week, you know that I was not big on this game and Arkansas winning it. I just wasn't. I wasn't. I didn't have any feelings to believe that way. I didn't think that it would be a game that Arkansas was just capable of winning because of what we've seen so far this year. And I will say, on top of it all, though, I did believe it was going to be a close game. I did believe it was going to be a close game. I'm not pat myself on the back, but that's just Arkansas's MO and has been their MO. You play good enough to be competitive, but you play just bad enough to lose. That's what they've done. But not this time around. Arkansas got the victory in Fayetteville, and what an atmosphere. I mean, you can tell by my voice. I'm sure you're hearing it. You're like, is he sick or something? No, I'm still trying to recover in my voice from the game itself and just how exciting it was. But man, I still get goosebumps even thinking about it. Arkansas, 19-14 over Tennessee, the number 4 ranked team in the country. And Arkansas did it in a really unconventional way for them, at least. And getting the victory. So we'll talk about the main stats and go through the numbers and look at some of the players that had to step up, that did step up and had been waiting for them to step up here just a little bit, and also give some thoughts on some other things. But I just wanted to talk about the impact of a win like this. It is incredible to feel when you wake up in the morning on a Sunday and knowing that you are the talk of the town. Well, you did have to share a little bit of the spotlight with the Alabama Vanderbilt game. And again, we'll talk about that in a second. But still, you were on ABC. You were on ABC with Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler. Holly Rowe on the sidelines. Prime time, baby. And you had a field storming after a victory like that, which it came down to the final play. You had a field storming. And it's just the type of stuff that college football is all about. It's the stuff that college football is made of. And I'll be honest, I sat in my season tickets. I was in the north end zone, and I was actually sitting in a suite. Shout out Miss Vicky and Rich for allowing me to come in there. But sat in there with some really good people, and some fans like Peyton Hill, former Razorback Peyton Hillis was in there. A few of the Razorback baseball players were in there. So it was just a good group of people, but I've watched that game with them before, and we all kind of felt the same way that I know every single one of you Razorback fans felt. You're playing good in the first half. You're holding them scoreless, but all those missed opportunities offensively. It's brutal. You were in every single possession you had in the first half, you got into Tennessee territory and had 3 points to show for it. It started feeling like, man, that those are the chances. Those are the chances to do that. Like you had your opportunities and you blew them, and your defense is stepping up, but you go for it on fourth down twice. You don't get it either time. You miss a field goal. It's just like, man, this is the classic Arkansas stuff. Again, good enough to compete, not good enough to win. So it was frustrating in that first half, even though you had to lead 3-0. It was frustrating. And I didn't feel good about it. I know a lot of you didn't. And then what happens in the beginning of the second half, Tennessee, as a good team does, they score. And they score again. And suddenly it is 14-3. Just like that. And I'm not going to be above it and say that because I'm going to admit this. I felt like Arkansas was cooked. It was over. This is what they do. The defense did their job as much as they could, but too much to handle, too little, too late. And this is when Arkansas starts folding. It's when they start just imploding from inside, and Tennessee's going to run away with this game. But that's not what happened. The very opposite of that happened. Arkansas actually came from behind, made plays when they needed them the most, regrouped as a defense, stuck together, and did their job and won the game. And did not have, and the most important thing about this, did not have one single turnover. Because as we've talked about, like Arkansas, we can sit here and talk about Arkansas should be 6-0 instead of being 4-2. And you know what? They should. That doesn't matter. But what we can point to is the fact that if Arkansas just didn't turn the ball over at the fairly rapid rate, or at least in the really crucial times that Arkansas did against Oklahoma State and Texas A&M, guess what? Arkansas wins. They win those games. That's a simple thing. It's a simple fact. You win. But that's not how it works. But in this game, folks, if Arkansas turned the ball over one time in this game, they would have lost. I feel strongly about that. I mean, maybe if something you got to win the turnover battle, and Tennessee didn't turn it over either. It was actually a very clean game from that regard. So you didn't have any of that. You didn't have the turnovers, and you were able to do just enough to win. But when they started coming back, when Arkansas started coming back and still held strong defensively, and then, again, we'll talk about Taylen Green going out, Malachi Singleton having to come in. We'll talk about Braylon Russell, guys that made plays. Like, suddenly it started to feel like, man, they may find a way to at least take the lead. Well, Arkansas scores a touchdown late in with less than 2 minutes to go in the game, which Tennessee 100% let Arkansas score, and that is 100% a brilliant and smart coaching move, because that was the only way that they were going to have a chance in this one. Just plain and simple. Arkansas didn't get the 2-point conversion. Happens. So now they have to have the defense step up. I believe Tennessee had 2 of their timeouts left, and they went down the field on one big play, and they were flirting with it, but on 4th down, Arkansas gets the stop, which it was I'm going to be honest too. I'm not trying to hate on anybody. I'm not trying to hate on Nico. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, but he's a true freshman quarterback for Tennessee, and you could tell that he made a freshman mistake. He didn't throw the ball. He ran out of bounds when clock time expired. And that was ball game. And it did not hit me until the Razorback fans rushed the field that Arkansas had actually won. And that feeling that it gave to so many Razorback fans, that feeling of pride and a feeling they have not felt in so long, it made them just, it was incredible. It was incredible. It felt good to get one again. And I didn't rush the field because as much as I wanted to, but I was having to do our post-game show, and I went into the parking deck of over there off of right next to the Union, and just set up and did it. But when I was kind of getting my equipment and everything, I was walking around, fans were just pouring out and everything. And the look and the reactions and the emotions that Razorback fans had, you can tell they have been through it. Y'all have been through it. And to get that feeling, to just feel for a little bit even, that you're a winner, that you can't put a price on that, folks. We can sit here and talk about all the negatives that happen and bad plays that happen, because there were some in this game that Arkansas had, and stuff that can't happen. I mean, it can't happen at all. But you won. And at the end of the day, as I've always said, when it comes to coaches, when it comes to seasons and success and everything, no one at the end of the year is going to say, well, yeah, you won that. You went 8-4, but that one time against Tennessee, yeah, you made some bad plays there in the second half, and you shouldn't, or the first half, and you shouldn't have won that one. No one's going to say that. At least you're not. You're going to be like, hey, we won that game. And that's all that Arkansas has been missing. They should be 6-0, but they're not. They're 4-2. But what you did is you went out and you knocked off a top 5 team, a team that had an entire bye week to get ready for you. A team that had just come off of a big win against Oklahoma in the SEC in a hostile environment. A team that was one of the best teams, statistically speaking, in offense and defense both. You beat them. Not because of controversy, not because of Tennessee just being careless with the ball and turning it over a bunch, not because of their starting quarterback or some big injury happening to them or anything like that, folks. You beat them straight up. No excuses, no problems, just boom, win. That, my friends, makes me feel as good as anything. And now you got a bye week. Now you get ready for the second half of the season, and it's going to be a doozy. But doesn't it feel good to have a win once again? Does for me. Not going to have any complaints from me either. But we're going to talk about some of the individual players here in just a second and the performance against Tennessee. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, folks, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. Well, that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just some job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn also knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or the resources to hire anybody. But LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a new feature that helps you write the job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Let's talk about some of the individual performers in this one. Because there's a lot to give shout-outs to and a lot to give a lot of love to. And I'm going to start with Taylen Green, who got hurt in this game and had to come out. Hopefully, I think Sam Pittman said in his press conference it was an MCL. They're feeling good about it. Obviously, the bye week came at a perfect time for that because you're definitely going to need Taylen Green to be healthy for LSU. But Taylen Green's number, it's so crazy. He went 19 of 27 for 266 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Folks, that's a 70% completion percentage. And you probably may look at those numbers back, there's this. Hey, compared to what he's been doing this year, that's incredible numbers. His completion percentage is usually around 50. That's 20% more. He's been getting sub 200 yards in passing. He got over 200 yards. I mean, the things that he did that were wrong, just to be honest, and that were we need to bring up, there was a couple of things that happened. But also, let's not forget, Satania had a pass that hit him right in the hands in the end zone. It was one of the most beautiful throws you'll see Taylen Green make. If something like that happens. But there was also one which this was huge, but I have never seen a person more wide open in my life than Isaac Teslaw was on one of those plays there in the first half. I mean, Taylen just didn't see him. I've never seen a player more wide open than Isaac Teslaw, but just didn't see him. So there were problems. But considering how Taylen Green played against Texas A&M and considering how he played against them against Tennessee, he did a great job. And he put Arkansas in some good positions. But also shout out to Malachi Singleton, the backup. I can't imagine coming into that, but he goes 2 of 3. But that's all you needed him to do. And then, of course, he ran in scored the touchdown there to give Arkansas the lead and to seal the deal for him. But I was impressed by him. His poise as a redshirt freshman coming in and knowing the situation, knowing he's like, hey, you're just going to take on a top 5 team in the country. No big deal. That's a tall order for anybody. But shout out to Malachi Singleton coming in and when the game's on the line, He didn't look great at every time, but he did about as well as a backup could do in that situation. So big time for him. Jaquindon Jackson, they really keyed in on him, man. He had 20 carries, 57 yards, so it's 2.9 yards a carry. He had a touchdown in this. But you're starting to see teams really focus in on him because they know how good he is. And they had problems with that. But you got to see him. Rashad Dubinion is good to see him back in action. Got 2 carries for 10 yards. But the main story in the rushing attack was Braylon Russell, the true freshman out of Central Arkansas. He had 8 attempts, 62 yards. He's averaging 7.8 yards a carry. And folks, on that final drive that Arkansas had, he was the dude in that. He was, because I can't, again, you're talking about in the backfield, Arkansas is trailing. They are trailing and they have to have some points in this final drive. And they have a backup quarterback who's a redshirt freshman and a true freshman running back that's doing the work to get them down there. That is big time. That is big time. And, man, it gives you a lot of good feelings for the future of Arkansas. Of course, you never know what the future even holds for college football in general. But, man, that was some grown-up plays made by 2 really young players in that. So kudos to them. And, in the receiving game, a lot of guys made some really good plays. But this is not going to be an insult towards Jaquindon Jackson at all. I still think Jaquindon Jackson's a phenomenal player. But I've changed my mind on who the best player is on this team, or at least the best player on this offense, and it's Andrew Armstrong. That dude is an NFL wide receiver. Some of the catches he had in this game were incredible. 9 catches for 132 yards. He was targeted 11 times. We got to get him in the end zone, though. He's got to score a touchdown, but because he hasn't scored one all season. But dude just catches everything. And he had phenomenal catches down the sidelines, catches yards after the catch. He had 43 yards of those. Just, he's that dude. And he's been as consistent as anybody on the team. So had a great game for him. Satania also had a really good game. I know he had that drop in the end zone, but he was targeted 6 times, caught 5 of them, 72 yards out of that. So really good thing. But then defensively, how about Nico Slaughter being tied for the team lead in tackles? The transfer from Tennessee. How awesome is that? He had 8 total tackles, 4 of them solo, and had a pass breakup. And the one that he had was on 3rd down when the game was on the line. So that was big. Xavion Sorey had 8 tackles in this one as well. He was tied for that. TJ Metcalf and Larry Worth both had 7 tackles. Steven Dix Jr. had 6 tackles. Marquise Robinson had 5. So really, really good performance out of that. But then some good tackles for loss too. Cam Ball in this one had a sack. Landon Jackson had a solid game too. He had a half a sack, which also half tackle for loss. But he had a quarterback hurry in this one too. He had 4 tackles. Eric Gregory also, man, he had 1.5 sacks in this one. So I love to see that. The defense is phenomenal. Like in this game, they were phenomenal. Travis Williams, and if you haven't read that article about what they did to kind of put some new stuff in and new wrinkles into the system to make it be a struggle for them, you need to check it out because that was master work by Travis Williams. He had Tennessee, he had them boys confused, didn't know what to do, and that was a great performance at Travis Williams. Give that man a raise, whatever it takes. He needs that money because that type of game was worth it. So just some really good individual performances, but shout out to the guys that stepped up when not normally having to be counted on. Malachi Singleton, shout out to Braylon Russell, shout out to Taylen Green for going through the struggles that he had all year, but having one of his a really good bounce back game from that. And of course, shout out to the dude Andrew Armstrong because that dude is that dude. So, but we'll look at the SEC, folks, because it got really drunk over the weekend. We'll talk about that here in a second. So stay with us on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, folks, so you always hear us talking about the Game Time app. Well, I'm going to continue to tell you about it because there's a new feature that Game Time has called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for your favorite live event even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only the incredible deals that they have on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different tickets for all of that. So you got to check them out. I know a lot of people are using the Game Time app for, of course, getting to the game against Tennessee. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of tickets that were not that were sold because it was about as good of a sellout as you had. And I had some people came up to me and said, hey, they use the Game Time app because of your Locked Ons, which is great. So you got to check them out today. They have a toggling feature. They have a feature that you can toggle where you get the all-in pricing, which is really great. So there's no surprise fees at checkout. You also get a great panoramic view of your seat before you buy. It's just the best ways. And this goes for sports, it goes for concerts, it goes for comedy events, it's for everything. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. You know, Arkansas, of course, was a part of one of the biggest storylines in college football over the weekend and having a big upset, but it wasn't the biggest storyline in college football. Folks, there's a lot of things that I would predict and be wrong on. There are a lot of things that if someone told me, hey, this was going to happen in college football this year, that I would be like, yeah, okay, I could see it. But the one thing that I don't think anybody envisioned, especially after last week, would be that the first loss post Nick Saban era in Alabama would be the Alabama Crimson Tide losing to the Vanderbilt Commodores in Nashville. I would have never guessed that. None of us would. But how about that? How about Vanderbilt? Shout out to Clark Lee. Shout out to the people there in Nashville. That was an awesome thing, man. That was an awesome thing. I know Alabama fans are sick to their stomach. They probably want to fire Kalen DeBoer. But them tearing down the goalpost and then carrying it all the way to Broadway, that's not an easy hike. Like, that's a long way. And then throwing it in the river. Find me another sport that does that. There's no other sport. That's why college football is the best. No other sport does that. No NFL, no NBA, no college basketball, MLB, nothing like that ever happens. Only in college football. That's how you know it's the greatest sport. So shout out to the Vanderbilt Commodores, man. They got it done. Georgia takes care of business against Auburn easy. Auburn sucks. 31-13 for Georgia. Auburn's now 2-4, 0-3 in SEC play. So shout out to them. But another, I'll admit, I thought that this would be a game that would be good. I even thought that the winner, at least I could see it, but Texas A&M absolutely donkey punched Missouri. Just absolute destruction. And it wasn't 41-10. The Aggies, man. I hate to say it, but I mean, they're 3-0 in the SEC, and you know, you still wanted to win. You still probably should have won, but it does kind of make you feel a little bit better about that loss to Texas A&M, knowing that they just destroyed the mighty Missouri Tigers, 41-10. Like, they got exposed, and they might be fraudulent. Like, Missouri, they kind of already were teetering on that a little bit, but after a loss like that, they might be fraudulent, which. I heard some stuff about this. I may have to wait till later this week to talk about it, but I heard some stuff that Eli Drinkwitz did in Missouri, and we got to bring that up if it ends up being talked about again. But so shout out to the Aggies, man. I hate to say it. I hated both these teams. I hate both these teams, but definitely very impressive by Texas A&M, and they got it rolling a little bit at 5-1. Ole Miss and South Carolina was supposed to be this big thing because of Juice Wells, all that, and the transfer and all that. Well, Ole Miss took care of business. It was 27-3. South Carolina is now 3-2, 1-2 in SEC play. So not exactly setting the world on fire there. And Florida does get a victory over UCF. There's that. So, just a few games from the weekend. And to give you kind of an update standings and where it looks like for Arkansas and where they stand in the whole deal. Right now, Arkansas is 2-1. They are tied for third in the SEC with Georgia. Let me say that again. Arkansas is tied in the SEC with Georgia at 2-1. Texas A&M's 3-0, leading the way. Texas and LSU are 1-0, so that's why they're ahead. But, they've only played one SEC game. And then Georgia and Arkansas are at 2-1. Arkansas is 5th in the SEC right now. Just like we all were talking about a week ago or so. Yeah. It's amazing. It's drunk. It's absolutely drunk. The only over teams are Mississippi State and Auburn. So, but there's a lot of parity there. There's a lot of parity, but a lot of season left. So a lot of things can change, but it's great to win. It's great to win. Now we got the bye week to settle in and watch everybody else beat the crap out of each other and see if something happens. But like that LSU game, folks, 6 o'clock in Fayetteville once again, coming off of that win. Oh, yeah, fans are going to be ready for that one. Fans are going to be ready for that one, and I cannot wait. It's going to be awesome. So appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Neighbors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.